Gotta be true to yourself. In the world, there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you lay in your ground. You bustin' your rounds, nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you. Looking good, you good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the reason? It's that ripple effect. That's just that ripple. That's just that ripple effect. What you do, come back triple.
Hey, what's going on? It's your girl KDOT back in the Ripple Effect. You already know what it is and you already know the vibes. Listen, this is what happens when you don't bring your tripod like you're supposed to, but it's okay. It's not stopping me from filming, but shout out to all the day ones. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate all the new subscribers, all the people coming along, all the people who've been grinding and helping me out with this process. It's been crazy. Yeah, so I'm just leaving the shop taping the tour in DC. It's been awesome, great. Wale and Ed Reed were the guest hosts. Great advice for up-and-coming entrepreneurs, as well as, talking football, with the great Ed Reed, Hall of Fame Ed Reed. If you know, you know. And they were just going into details about how when Ed Reed would be, studying film to the point where he knows exactly what a quarterback's going to do, like Peyton Manning in particular. And he told a pretty funny story about how Peyton Manning would always make sure he knew where Ed Reed was. And if he didn't know where he was, he would make sure. The point is, he's not about to not know where this man is and try to make a play. That's not going to happen. And as you know, in Indianapolis, they could either choose to have the dome open or closed, right? So in this particular game, they had it open for whatever reason. And Peyton Manning would be out on the field and he couldn't find Ed Reed. But Ed Reed is so smart, right? Because he watches so much film, he studies, not to mention he talks about playing the game within a game, right? Meaning knowing all the elements, not even just football, right? So he knew where to stand, where there would be a shadow casted to the point where Peyton Manning would not be able to see Ed Reed. Like, tell me that's not crazy. So, point is, it's all in the details. Like, he's not great for no reason. He's great because he studies and he's willing to put in the work. Probably work that nobody else is willing to think about. Nobody's thinking about where the shadow is, on the field. You know what I mean? Like, how do you even, but that's just what the greats do. That's the genius, that's the Hall of Famer, that's what the elites do, right? They go above and beyond, and they also tied that into entrepreneurship, right? Because they're not a regular employee, right? They're not just going to do their 9 to 5, so to speak. And there's nothing wrong with that, but they're not going to do that. They're going to go above and beyond. There is no clocking in, there is no clocking out. It's all you, all the time. And you have to be willing to pull in that extra work. And you got to be willing to do things that people wouldn't ordinarily want to do. And sometimes that could be waking up at 5 a.m., making sure you're in shape so that way, so blood is, oxygen is flowing to your brain and you're able to be more creative, be more mindful, more thoughtful, more intentional about your day. Because trust me, when you wake up at 5 in the morning, you're going to be intentional about what the hell you're doing. You're not just going to be like, oh, I'm just going to, wake up at 5 in the morning and just arbitrarily go through your day. That's not how it works. And I'm sure you can agree to that. If you've ever woken up at that time on a steady pace. And they just gave so much great advice about investing in yourself. That was like the biggest thing, right? Because as a, up and coming entrepreneur, most people think other people have to just pour into you, right? Like they're the ones supposed to be spending money on you constantly. And that's not how it works. You have to pour so much into yourself. And then it'll make people believe. You have to make people believe. You can't just, I thought about it myself too, actually. It is asking a lot of people to sit there and be like, oh, I'm starting this whole new thing. I'm completely going against the grain. I want you to just trust me. I don't know if it's going to work. You don't know if it's going to work, right? That's really kind of what you're doing. And then you're asking people to pour into you, right? Probably something that they don't even have that. So it makes way more sense to kind of take your time with things, but more importantly, willing to invest in yourself. Like, entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not cheap. It's going to cost you a lot of money, and you got to be willing to do it. Why? Because it's for yourself. Like me, I choose to, go back to school. I choose to spend a lot of money in marketing and, and just whatever I can to put out this content for you guys, because at the end of the day, I believe in myself. If nobody else does, that's okay, because I haven't given you a reason, maybe a little bit here and there, but for the most part, I still have a lot of work to do, and that's fair. And I've taken on that responsibility, that I have that work to do, and I'm going to do it. And eventually, well, it's already starting to happen, but eventually it's going to be to the point where I can't be ignored. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing for you or anybody else that's trying to do what I'm trying to do, in a sense of having your own passion and putting it out there, and creating a platform for it, and for people to want to, not only invest in it, believe in it, and eventually want to invest in it as well. And that definitely takes time, and that definitely takes work, and you got to be willing to put in that work. And they talked a lot about that, about how you have to be very strategic about the way you do things, and very analytical, right? But you also got another side to it, because they had Wale on there, and obviously he's a rapper, right? He's an artist. So when it comes to artistry, he talks about how it's actually not very analytical. It's very creative, right? It's more of, it's a feel thing. It's a flow thing. Some things are going to hit, some things are not. It just depends on what the vibe is. It depends on the timing of things, right? Because there's some things that would fly now that wouldn't have taken to people back then, and vice versa. Same thing that also goes on. And you have to be very mindful about stuff like that. So you still have to be intentional, but when it comes to being like very analytical and logical, it's really not like that when it comes to creativity, or that side of it. So it was a really good conversation, and I was just in awe. Like, most of the time I was just sitting there just like, wow, like I'm just sitting there, just eating it up. And I know, you kind of see what's going on around you, because it is loud. It's a live taping, it's an open bar. If you kind of imagine, at first they have the music on, everybody's all juiced up, so there's a lot of moving parts going on, because everybody's there for their own reasons, right? I mean, me personally, I'm there obviously to learn, mingle a little bit, to network. That's the main thing. And they're just dropping gem after gem after gem, and I'm just trying to soak it all in and just pick them all up, and at the end of the day, it's great, and I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for the shop, Uninterrupted, how you guys came together and decided to have this taping on tour, in the communities where they need it. They need the promotions. They need to promote the small businesses, not to mention giving advice that maybe people may not want to hear. Maybe they want to hear, oh, it's going to be easy. You can quit your job tomorrow. You know what I mean? And you got this. Like, anybody who knows that's not it. They just talk about, yo, it's going to be a grind. You're not quitting your job tomorrow. You should not quit your job tomorrow. But you should invest in yourself. You should put in the work. You know what I mean? You should do everything necessary that it takes to get it done. And some things you're going to be right about. Some things you're going to be dead wrong about. They even made a good point. Mav Carter, he made a good point. And he said, you know what? Sometimes we just got to keep it funky fresh with ourselves, right? Like, sometimes people's ideas, like whatever you're trying to get into, maybe it's just not working for whatever reason. Maybe, it's the content. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's, the concept. Maybe it's just the field you're trying to get in is just so saturated. So maybe you just need to kind of find another way to make yourself stand out. Because maybe it's not you. Maybe it's not your content. Maybe it's just the field you're in is just extremely saturated, and people already have heard it 100 times. So you have to find a way to separate yourself from others, and that's something that I always try to do. If you've noticed, if you've been following me for a while, you can kind of see how I've kind of evolved and how the channel just keeps on moving at the end of the day. It doesn't stand still for anything. It's just a constant learning process. It's a constant having fun with it, never knowing what lands, what doesn't. And it's all fun and games. I think because at the end of the day, it's your life. It's real. If you're creating authentic, quality content, it's your life. I mean, what do you want me to say? Like, if you don't like it, then change it. Like, it's your life. You know what I mean? Like, it's whatever it is that you're doing. So stop what you're doing and do something else, But I just feel like as long as you're going with your heart and your passion, I don't feel like you can ever go wrong. Because at the end of the day, It is your life. It's your vision. Nobody else can see your vision but you. You have to bring it to life for other people, you know, and you have to bring it to different perspectives to the point where they see it. And it's going to take time. It's going to take time, but it's going to happen. And at the end of the day, you already know I only ask y'all to do one thing. Just remember, losses equals life lessons.
Gotta be true to yourself. In a world there's nothing else. Gotta play the game right, gotta make your path. You scratch, you dig, you lay in your ground, you bustin' your rounds. Nobody gon' stop you. No ops, no cops, everything about you. Looking good, you good, she good. Y'all people really wanna know the reason. It's that ripple effect. That's just that ripple. That's just that ripple effect. What you do, come back triple.